Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Today, we've got a very special guest, as chosen by this month's Quasar Commander. Having been snubbed on a number of patron polls, these gooey kablooies have been waiting in the wings to spread their silvery slime across the battlefield, looking for the perfect hosts to help them claim victory. But despite focusing on doing one of the best things in the game, stealing your opponent's stuff, they never really took off. So today, as we explore this archetype, we'll be on the lookout for why that was. Did they lack an impactful game ender? Were their enablers too narrow? Is taking things actually not as powerful, cool, and strong as I've been led to believe? All these questions and more shall be answered soon. So get ready to comment on some tiny wastes because those bodies are absolutely snatched with Graydle explained. So what's the deal with Graydles? Well, they're a series of water attribute aqua-type monsters with a predilection for taking your opponent's monsters, and that's accomplished with their three core monsters. Graydle Alligator has 500 attack and 1500 defense, Cobra has 1000 attack and defense, and Eagle has 1500 attack and 500 defense, each of them level 3, and they all have the same effect with a minor tweak. If destroyed by battle, or by the effect of a certain card type and sent to the grave, you can target a monster your opponent controls and equip that Graydle from the grave to that monster, taking control of it. And when the equipped spell Graydle leaves the field, the equipped monster is destroyed. Hey, if we can't have it, they shouldn't either. And as for the card types that also trigger the equip, Alligator does so in response to being destroyed by a spell effect, Cobra if destroyed by a trap card effect, and Eagle if destroyed by a monster card effect. They're even color-coded to help you keep track. So this informs the core of the strategy. While it's all well and good to sometimes let your opponent handle things for you, your deck should be outfitted with a number of tools that can destroy your own monsters. That way you can enable the Snatch Steal mode of your monsters, letting you get the benefit of the base card plus a little stealing as a garnish. But you'll want to include a wide variety of ways to destroy. Since you can only run 3 copies of each monster, you won't be able to keep popping Eagle over and over again with your Unchained monsters. Variety is, after all, the spice of life, and if you're dining with Graydles, you're gonna need some of that. Despite popular belief, the gray stuff is not delicious. Next up, we have a couple of supporting monsters to help you trigger Eagle, set up other Graydles, or access our secret synchro playstyle. Graydle Slime Jr. is a level 2 tuner monster with 0 attack and 2000 defense, and when this card is normal summoned, you can target a Graydle monster in your grave, and for the rest of the turn, you can't special summon other monsters except water monsters. Also, special summon that monster, then you can special summon from your hand an aqua-type monster with the same level as the monster special summoned by this card's effect. And when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, you can special summon a Graydle monster from your deck. So you get a float if run over by battle, which can lead to another Graydle being thrown into the line of fire for a steal. But the splashy effect is the monster revival. The idea is that we summon out one of our Graydles from the grave, then summon another from our hand, though it graciously allows us to summon any aqua monster from our hand of the same level in case we're splashing anything. And because Junior is a tuner, 2 + 3 + 3 makes 8, giving us access to any level 8 water synchro monster, because of the limitation, which just so happens to include our boss monster. The tough thing is getting the full value out of our effect. We don't exactly have a mechanism built into Graydles to recur cards back into our hand, so it's kind of a crapshoot if we actually get the second summon, leaving us with that summon restriction and only 2 monsters to work with. And let me tell you, our level 5 water synchro options aren't very deep. There's currently 5 of them in the whole game, and with Graydle Jr. as the tuner, we only have access to 3 of them. And a group of monsters that is 33% Sea Dragonlord Gishilnadon is not one I'm happy to be a part of. Graydle Slime is a level 5 tuner monster with 0 attack and 2000 defense, and if this card is in your hand or grave, you can target 2 Graydle cards that you control, destroy them, and if you do, special summon this card. And when summoned this way, you can target a Graydle monster in your grave and special summon that target in defense position. Now, this way you're all but guaranteed to have your 8 levels worth of synchro material, and this time, no lock is involved, so you can make whatever's compatible. Now, this can pop any 2 Graydle cards, but let's be real, who wants to give up their spell and trap card support, especially when they don't come with a benefit for being popped? You can do it in a pinch, but you really want to be popping 2 Graydle monsters, at least one of which being Eagle so you can get that Snatch Steal. but it might seem counterintuitive to want to pop a non-eagle level 3 Graydle monster since they won't trigger. But it's actually beneficial that one doesn't trigger. That way you have one that can be revived with Slime's effect. That being said, you do have to get them onto the field to destroy them, and our tools for that aren't exactly plentiful. The big saving grace here is that it's available to use while in the graveyard, so it's a repeatable source of destruction while enabling your game plan. Getting the setup just right is going to be the main snag here. Also, why does this grown-ass slime have the same stats as the junior version? You gotta grow up and learn how to do your taxes at some point, Slime Senior. You can't stick around in your parents' UFO forever. Graydle Dragon is a level 8 synchro monster with 3000 attack and 2000 defense, requiring an Aqua Tuner monster and one or more non-tuner monsters as material. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of water monsters used for the synchro summon of this card and destroy them. And if this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect and sent to the grave, you can target one other water monster in your grave and special summon it, but its effects are negated. So this is like a complete disconnect from the rest of the theme. Instead of caring about anything involved in taking our opponent's monsters, it cares almost exclusively about water monsters. This does mean that making Dragon with Junior is the superior option between the two slimes, since you get more destruction out of it, but it only destroys our opponent's cards, so no chance to enable our own stuff. And when it gets destroyed, not only does it only summon water monsters, it only takes monsters from our own graveyard, which feels like a missed opportunity in our alien parasite deck. Our boss should be exemplifying the strengths and gimmicks of the deck, yet it feels like it has so little to do with the Alligator Cobra Eagle trio that makes up the core of its identity. Kinda rough. Now, credit where credit is due, this does have a pretty neat loop, because while its revive restriction says it has to bring out another water monster, keeping you from reviving itself over and over again, if you get a second copy of Graydle Dragon into rotation, you can keep reborning the other one over and over again, leading to some goopy, viscous Ouroboros nonsense, but that's about the best I can give it. Heck, I'm even mad at the name here. As an amalgam of 3 different forms of Graydles, this is clearly a Graydle Chimera. It's even got the snake tail thing, for crying out loud. Alright, that's all the monsters. Now let's cover these spells and traps. Graydle Impact is a continuous spell card that lets you target one other Graydle card you control and a card your opponent controls and destroy them. And during your end phase, you can add a Graydle card from your deck to your hand, but you can only use one effect of this card per turn and only once per turn. That means you can either pop some cards or get the search at the end of turn, but not both. Despite the effects tripping over themselves, this is still a welcome addition. Triggering Alligator while offering some spot removal is great for clearing out a problem monster you weren't looking to take, or a back row while Alligator handles the big beastie. And on turns you don't feel inclined to use that effect, you can just get the right cards you need for future plays. I direct you back to our section on Graydle Slime Jr. needing a specific monster in hand. But lord is it showing off that these cards were designed nearly a decade ago. You never get away with something like this today. Only having access to one of the 2 effects per turn, and one being a search at the end phase where you couldn't conceivably use the card until your next turn, giving your opponent ample time to prepare and even predict your next actions based on what you searched? We're starting to see one of the main reasons that Graydle never flourished. Even at the time, the deck was full of janky design decisions that limited how fast or powerful the deck could be, likely in response to the pitch of the deck being every monster is a change of heart. And I'll tell you, it's had a really negative impact on the theme. Graydle Split is a normal trap card that targets a face-up monster you control and equips this card to it. It gains 500 attack, and during your main phase, you can send this card equipped to a monster by this effect to the grave and destroy the monster this card is equipped to, and if you do, special summon 2 Graydle monsters with different names from your deck, but destroy them during the end phase. So, as the art implies, you can attach this to Cobra, then you can pop the Cobra to get 2 Graydles while stealing a monster. Though this can work with any of our monsters, so if you've splashed in a non-Graydle, you can still dissolve it into 2 piles of goo. And notably, you don't have to summon 2 of the same level. You can easily grab Slime Senior and any level 3 Graydle to make Dragon. Combined with a sneaky little attack boost you can spring out of nowhere, and you've got a versatile little card that, sadly, still just doesn't do enough. We do need trap cards to enable Cobra's effect, but at the same time, it makes the card too slow to function well in a deck that's already waiting on other combo pieces to function. As a piece of support, I gotta say, I'm kinda split on it. Graydle Parasite is a continuous trap card that triggers when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack. You can special summon a Graydle monster from your deck in attack position if you control no monsters. When a Graydle monster you control declares a direct attack, you can target a monster in your opponent's grave and special summon that target to their side of the field if they control no monsters. While this doesn't destroy any Graydle monsters, it does provide a couple of interesting options. When you've got nothing, you can pull a Graydle from your deck to threaten a steal, or if your opponent has no monsters, you can revive one from their grave so you can smash your Graydles into it and steal it, potentially giving you a much better direct attack. It's also really funny how they worded this effect specifically so that it would fail against any monster that can attack directly even if your opponent has monsters. But with all that being said, this is indicative of the state of the support network of Graydles. Parasite does give you a way to protect your life points while giving you a monster, but only while you're in a dire situation, and the second effect solves a problem that you should be more than happy to perpetuate. Attacking directly means you're dealing the life point damage necessary to win the game. If anything, a support card would want to give you a monster to steal when your opponent's setup is solid, so that you can grab a monster that can potentially break it. In most regards, it doesn't do anything to advance or protect your game plan. It's unfortunate to see this theme be saddled with cards like this, especially when it hasn't had a breath of fresh air in so long. And no, roping in the, as of now, OCG exclusive normal monster Crocodilus into this lore is not distracting me, though it is making me wonder what other normal monsters the Graydles are eating to make Cobra and Eagle. Graydle Combat is a counter trap card that you can activate when a spell card, trap card, or monster effect that targets exactly one Graydle monster you control and no other cards is activated, which lets you use one of two effects. The typical negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card, or the activated effect becomes destroy that monster. Now, this is pretty creative. One mode is just a hard counter, but you can also turn cards that wouldn't otherwise destroy into ones that enable your level 3 Graydles. Granted, they do still need to have the same kind of card type to work, but that's what the second mode is here to catch. But despite having the ability to catch all card types, I wouldn't call this an omni-negate. This is a far cry from cards that can negate anything as long as you control a particular member of a theme, especially when it only works when targeting monsters of that theme, so don't expect any relief or impact or, heaven forbid, Parasite. So, despite all the babies involved in this archetype, you don't have any recourse against any mass destruction. Alright, so that's all the Graydle cards, but what do we do with them? Well, any off-theme cards that destroy our own monsters for some kind of benefit is going to be a plus, but as a mono water aqua theme, any support cards in that realm are going to go a long way, and maybe while we're at it, we'll find some synchros that might help us if we're in a pinch. So what can we play to help them out? Now, figuring out what cards just generically destroy our own for a benefit is gonna be tricky, because taking a quick look at the database here, we've got 4,853 at time of recording that have destroy in their effect text. And while I want to be here to help y'all, really I do, I've got to finish this video in a reasonable amount of time, so instead, I'm going to be outsourcing that work to all of you. Whatever cards destroy your own monsters for benefits, leave them down below so we can share in your collective knowledge. However, I will say something that you should not play, and that is board wipes like Torrential Tribute and Dark Hole. Largely because you really do want your opponent to have some monsters after the destruction so you can steal them. Granted, this is a neat way to trigger your own monster's effects in the face of others that have immunity to effect destruction, but that's kind of a coin toss depending on the matchup. Hydor, the base of all things, was kind of a legendary discovery while researching tech picks. It's a revive from either grave to their owner's field by destroying a water monster that they control. So you've got a great alligator enabler right there. And while in the graveyard, it can revive a water monster from either graveyard to its owner's field by destroying a monster they control. This will be used almost exclusively for our own purposes, but there is the off chance you can swap out one of your opponent's monsters for a Mulcharmy Perulia in their graveyard, and that's very funny. And speaking of alligator enablers, Ocean of Regeneration can repeatedly bring back low attack water monsters. You sadly can't get Eagle, but the other ones are fair game, including Alligator, which is the main focus. If we leave it around until the end phase, it'll be destroyed by a spell card's effect, thus getting us a steal. Otherwise, it can bring back most of our Graydles for whatever we need, Synchro Summoning being the big draw. But that's enough alligator focus. Cobra needs some love too, and thankfully, thanks to Shark, we've actually got the perfect card for them. Virtue Stream! It's the Fry-type Icarus attack that destroys all monsters involved, which means it's more like the Fry-type offerings to the snake deity. But you get the benefits of blowing up 2 cards, Cobra steals a 3rd, and then it's loaded into the graveyard to provide some effect destruction protection if the kind coming your Graydle's way doesn't match what you want. Or you can force liquefy an opponent's monster to mess with any attribute nonsense. Notably, because a bunch of Graydles are level 3, they can overlay to make Virtue Dragon, which searches out Virtue Stream, while providing some other nifty effects like recursion. Oh hey look, another way we can help Junior, wild! But what about ways to help Eagle? No worries, that's what Suru Puru Purun is here to help with. You blast Eagle with it, have Suru take its place, and now you get to nuke all of your opponent's face-up cards in that same column, giving you some spiffy removal. Its level makes things a little awkward, but can open up some potential synchro options. Or, you can just link it off. Marincess has a few good generic water support abilities that would go swell with our deck. Thankfully, there are some other off-theme options that can help us sculpt our hand too. Salvage can take any 2 main deck Graydles and put them back into our hand from the grave, and Surface can grab any of our level 3 Graydles, and Junior if need be, and summon them right back from the grave to the field, ready to cause trouble once again. Ice Mirror is a cool way to deploy more Graydles from your deck. The restriction keeping you out of the extra deck while it's on the field does suck a bit, keeping you from immediately folding your 2 level 3s into a Virtue Dragon, but thankfully these monsters were made to be destroyed as soon as possible, so we won't have much trouble clearing that out while getting some value for ourselves. Ice Barrier is also a fantastic piece of support. Its on-field effect is already pretty clutch, helping you win basically any battle, but while in the grave, it fast-tracks Graydle Slime Sr. into the graveyard while letting you put any water monster in your grave back into your hand. It doesn't even matter that we don't pick up Senior, because it can summon itself from the grave just fine. And since we have a hankering for synchro summoning, are there any water synchro monsters that might be fun inclusions? Well, we've already talked about how the level 5 pool is a bit of a wash, but Amatrix isn't half bad as a way to turn all of our opponent's special summoned monsters sideways. But our level 8 offerings are pretty dazzling. White Aura Whale is a way to clear out our opponent's attack position monsters if the need arises, and it can attack twice, and deal piercing battle damage, and revive itself, all very strong qualities. Adamancipator Risen Dragite is also good for establishing a hard negate, though unless you're doing any rock stuff with cards like Carterin, the hidden gem of the seafront, you aren't going to get much out of the removal effect. Stealing monsters is great and all, but there are just some that, no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to get your grubby little mitts on. Maybe they have targeting protection. Maybe they have effect negation that'll stop you from stealing them in the first place. What's an honest theft player to do in such trying times? I'll tell you what you do. You change that monster into a giant vanilla beat stick with kaijus. That way you get rid of all the pesky negation and protection and get right to the good stuff, the big raw attack values that help you close out the game. And if you find yourself waterlocked, no worries, Gameciel is a water monster, so have fun switching things up on your opponent in more ways than one. Just to be careful not to steal more than one kaiju, their text boxes are a little finicky. As for a silly tech pick, well, there's no guarantee that the monsters we steal are going to be any good. Best case scenario, we steal some bomb monsters and run away with the game. But what if we get our hands on some absolute cannon fodder instead? Well, we've got a great mechanism for converting their trash into our treasure by leaning on another theme that likes stealing our opponent's stuff. Dhampir, Vampire Sheridan, and the Zombie Vampire are both Xyz monsters that can treat monsters we control owned by our opponent as the appropriate leveled monster for their Xyz summon, as long as they have a level at all. Sheridan is great if you need removal while also giving you the opportunity to pluck monsters out of our opponent's grave, while the Zombie Vampire can fill both players' graveyards while looking for a new servant to add to their roster. And bonus, as a rank 8 monster, it works immediately well with Graydle Dragon, so we don't have to only utilize our opponent's monsters. Turns out, the Bloodsuckers and the Body Snatchers work great together, possibly because both act in their own ways as allegories for the dissociation we have with our bodies and souls within the framework of a capitalist society. Who knew? And that's all I've got to say about Graydle. This theme has been stuck in the lurch for far too long. At nearly a decade of age, this theme has only seen a single wave of support and hasn't been heard from since. And honestly, it's got such a cool way of going about taking cards, I think it deserves another go. Some less clunky tools and a faster way of deploying minions, and I'd say we're in for some prime slime time. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you think Graydle could use a third encounter, or should they remain the crash landing crash outs that they are? Let me know down below, and as always, please be sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, check out one of my videos in the sidebar to help me show up on your homepage, and be sure to share this video with somebody you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and Ignavius, Nebula Navigator's 3rd Dynasty, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Beastsman, Charlie Mercury, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Eric, Frankie, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Japan Man, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, That One Dumbass, The Critic of Innocence and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Animasta, Anthrak, Anything You Can Say, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Cool Trainer Dark, The Tenchi 67, Dr. Entity RIP, Drachenwald, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Kryptonian Blurred, Lobomaru02, Manga Pages, Millennia Asta, Mr. Machina, Natiel the Alexander, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Papa Cosmic, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Seraph SG, Shizuka Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Sonic 21 Blast, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, Tiger X2476, Tristan O'Meara, Rider 2400, Zayden, Zaldrika, and Zentha, as well as all the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member. And if you'd like to see more monster nabbing nonsense that's also done by visitors from another world, check out this video on aliens. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.